awesome to have you guys here. Can we just go ahead and kick it off? Are we ready? Okay. I just want to let you know before we get started that Now Nation, our huddle, our weekly huddle, our weekly team meeting is a collaborative community built to actually communicate, connect, and grow as one unified team. I'm so excited about this because, you guys, this is it. We are better together, and together we can build something greater than we can on our own. So just so you know, every week we have a theme. And we want to think of it like as a basketball game theme. So you have your first quarter or the first week. We're covering AI and technology. And the second week, we're covering lead generation. These are all topics that can help you grow your business. The third week or the third quarter, we're covering systems and processes. And also, the fourth week, what we're doing today is client presentations and engagement. And so I'm so excited. If we do have a fifth week in the month, we're going to be covering things like agent attraction or leadership conversations, or bringing on another special guest that you guys don't want to miss. So that's what we're covering every single week. And I'm excited that who we have on today. This is our client presentation week. And I am so thrilled. I've been wanting to get her on here for a while. We had her on once, but this is Casey Clark Leyva, and I've known her for a while. And one thing I will tell you about Casey, I'm going to brag on her for just a minute, is that she actually in our region, in the Colorado region, coached and helped more people get to $1 million in GCI than any other leader in our market. And that is so huge. So we're learning from the best. If you're not at $1 million GCI yet, you got to tune in and listen to what she has to share. And of course, one of the key components is gaining more listings and upping our game in the listing presentation and gaining more secured listings for our business and in this market. And so I'm gonna bring on Casey and let her get started. She's going to answer some of the key questions and provide some key scripts, and kind of share with us her I guess key takeaways, her pro tips in listings. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Casey. Casey, thank you so much for joining us. It's so great to have you. I'm going to turn it over to you. And guys, listen, if you can be sure and mute yourself unless you're talking, and also put any comments in the chat box so that we can address that later on. But Casey, I'm turning it over to you, my friend. Go for it.
Thank you, Jackie. You are such an amazing leader and so appreciative to be in business with you at another company.
Yeah,
We
I
knew our paths
know.
would cross. Jackie was a team leader of an office in Denver and made the move. And my husband is very key. I was a past team leader in Colorado Springs. We had um, 4 different offices. Our office was the number one in the community, so many things, yet we were actually trying to recruit Jackie back to KW. And we had always stayed in relationship. And years prior, and I'll just share this quickly, years prior, I had always got my feelings hurt so bad when somebody had left. And my husband is such an amazing person that he stays in relationship with everybody and always says, congratulations, so excited for you. But those relationships then just circle you back to who knows whatever it is in the future. So just always, I had one of my best friends leave a brokerage, and I was so personally hurt. And Ed actually marched us back into my office and made us sit down and talk years ago. So there's sometimes you need to find that person. I'm blessed that he's become my husband since then, and just being the biggest advocate and cheerleader. And so just really exciting. So we'll jump into this. I'm going to share my screen and I'll probably bounce back out of it. And you guys are going to see that I am crazy with a lot of different screens or tabs open. And you'll see my everything on here. Let me get this. Is that placed correctly? Or am I too
Yeah, it
big?
looks good. It looks
Okay.
good.
Um, so I've already shared the link to our listing presentation. And does if everyone sees it, if not, when we're done or a couple times, I'll share that to where you can download it and rip off whatever you would like, add whatever you like. Ours is 20 years of adding and subtracting. It's a living document, as everybody should have that in their head of their listing presentation, their pre-list presentation. You're constantly updating it and reviving it. You're going to have key pieces that always stay the same. But as the market and the industry changes, so do we. Okay. I do a two-step listing presentation, and I think it really initiates from our very first phone call. So in that phone call, I explain or I ask questions of what is their motivation to be selling. Okay. And so I'm gonna be finding, are they PCSing, or are they getting a new job? Are they downsizing, or are they in financial trouble? We want to be able to, when we meet in person, of to be able to know those key relationship builders and connection builders. And if they're moving away, you want to be able to have referrals ready immediately, because once they've set an appointment with me or someone else, they're already looking at their next move. Okay. So you always want to be identifying, where can I get more business? And that is one of the very first triggers, is in that appointment setting phone call with your seller. Okay. Um, when on that phone call, I like to keep it short, but if they want to share, I'll let them share as much information. There's so many different tactics that you guys will find what works best for you. Okay. And if you've been into any listing seminars or listing trainings, they're going to say, here's your roadmap, here's what you do. And then as you figure out what is your perfect roadmap, then you have the confidence and you'll be nailing them. Okay. Start off though with what that instructor, what I'm sharing with, here's the roadmap of how to do it. So does everybody know Ford? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams? That, and I think there's new terms for it. I'm just older in the business, and that's the first one that I learned. So I'm always trying in that phone call, trying to find out family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Okay. And I want to keep that phone call rather short as well. So my big key points is, when I'm on that appointment call, I want to find out if they're meeting with other agents. Okay. I always want to be the first or the last. I'll do any appointment, but I either want to be the first, because it sucks, but then it's so amazing of being able to sign the listing agreement right at that presentation and take it off their plate. If they're saying, oh, I need to meet with these other people, and I'll be, oh, are you just ready to go ahead and move forward? And they'll say, if they say yes, I'm like, oh, go ahead. So it's not difficult for you, or you have uncomfortable conversations. Feel free. I will actually make those phone calls for you to cancel the appointments. I don't like it and I love it at the same time. But that is like the best thing. If you're up first and you know you're up first, go in with a mentality that you are going to, you're blessed to be able to make those phone calls to cancel and take it off their plate. Okay. Um, if I'm the last and I know it, I will ask them to make sure that they don't sign anything until they meet with me. Okay. So just know what place you're in for your appointments. What else I want to know in that phone call is, what is their payoff today? Okay. If you were to pay off your loan today, what would that be? That's my script, and pretty easy for that. Oh, by the way, I'm sure that you've been looking at homes in the neighborhood. If you were to put your house on the market today, what do you feel the price would be? So those are all in my 10 to 15-minute phone call of actually just scheduling the walkthrough appointment. Okay. And that's not the presentation appointment. So what I will do is I'll be like, what's your schedule looking like? And so I already know if there's people ahead of me or behind me. What's your schedule looking like? I'd like to spend about 30 minutes with you at the property. and I want to come in, experience your home. Just like an appraiser, they're going to come visit your property or visit your home before giving you a price. Okay. I want to start planting seeds if they've met with somebody or if they meet with somebody and at that appointment they're giving pricing. That agent isn't doing their homework, they're just coming in and winging it with prices. Okay. That can another a good experienced agent is gonna be like, oh, I've sold so many houses, I've seen them all. Because I've used that script before too. But um, I feel that just as an appraiser comes and previews the home and experiences the home, every production home, every custom home has its own specialty or uniqueness and features about that. Some people will be doing that on the phone call. I hate that on the phone call because I want to be in person with that client. I've even had them, if they couldn't do a 30-minute walkthrough, I've had them FaceTime and walk me through their property. Okay. It's very crucial of having that walkthrough. So then I'm going to go spend 30 minutes. My presentation that is on the screen, I have a big black fancy hard binder book that we um, have a binding machine. It's from Unibind. I believe the company's changed names, but that either gets delivered prior to my presentation or I'm leaving it at my little property walkthrough and I'm saying, hey, I want you to review everything in this book so that when we get to our conversation, we are really hitting of what the activity is going to be to get your home sold for top dollar in the fastest amount of time for you to net the most amount of money. Okay.
Okay, so Casey, I want to just kind of circle back a minute, just so everyone understands. So you go in like with the mindset, kind of like an appraiser. I'm gonna see what the property is. I'm gonna view it. I'm not gonna give you a price at the appointment. I'm gonna go back like an appraiser does and do my homework, and then come back with a more educated pricing strategy. Is that right? Okay.
Correct. I've
Okay.
already done all of my comps though prior to going to the house. Okay.
Right.
I have my notebook, I have a stack of paper, and they can see if they look at my piece of paper, they see it's my CMA. So they know I've already done the research. And it's so much of a mental strategy of working with the seller of having them understand how important pricing is and making sure that you're doing the proper research to be the best professional that there is out there. We can have all of the pretty marketing, all of the fancy stuff. We have it. But what sells it is being priced properly and knowing your contracts, being a master of your listing agreement, your buyer agreement. It is being a master of those. Okay. Um, in that walkthrough, I at the front of the door, I am finding something that I can relate to. Do they have pretty flowers? Do I like the color of their paint? As soon as I walk in the door, I'm doing a visual of what does the entryway look like? What's in the living room? Is there sporting stuff? Is there something that I can dive in with them to build that 30-second, like we are now, like we have a relationship and they like me personally. Okay. If it's a weird painting, you love that weird painting. Oh my goodness, who is that by? you
Mhm.
know if you can smell the fresh carpet, if you smell fresh hardwood floors, you're like, oh my goodness, that's my favorite smell. And fresh hardwood floors actually is one of mine because of playing basketball.
Um,
So there's always, it's something that you can quickly say and you're complimenting them because they're like in their head they're thinking of like, oh, this person's gonna beat me up. I don't even care if their house is a disaster. You find something to compliment them on. Okay. And it just breaks that ice and gives you such a different type of warm welcoming other than anything else. Okay. They're going to be asking what I think of pricing, all of that kind of stuff in this meeting. And I'm like, I am so sorry. I have a lot of information here, but before I give you, here's the marketing strategy and here's the pricing, I want to 100% just be able to go back to the computer and make sure that we're not missing a property or something that could pull us more money or adjust anything. Okay. So politely leave, and it's usually the next day I get back, we go back to the house and do our actual presentation. So I'm going to go through, actually, I'm not. I've shared the presentation with you guys in the chat and I will send it again if somebody else needs it because it's not, this is pretty paper. It is about sitting at the table and telling them what their asset is worth. Okay. So I'm actually, Jackie, can we switch the screen to where it's you and me?
I can't on my phone,
Okay.
but Courtney, maybe you can. So, okay.
If not, we'll just be in this presentation mode because I
Okay.
feel I like
Okay.
seeing everybody else's faces and being
Yeah.
able to see
Yeah.
if there's questions and that kind of stuff. Um, At the actual listing presentation, I have again that big old stack of paper. Okay. And years ago, I was at a listing clinic, and the gentleman was like, make sure when you drop that on the table that it sounds heavy.
Mhm.
And that again creates a connection of like, oh my goodness, they're doing a lot of pre-work. I can't believe they printed out all of that paper for my house. Okay. And if you do it electronically, I can't tell you how many times there might be old CMAs to the back of my file. You still have that piece of paper that's making that sound that you did that. So you're connecting to all of the different personality profiles because you might be the person that has all of your listing presentation electronically, and that is beautiful as well. Okay. These are just strategies that I've learned that help me go in and make sure that I'm closing at the listing appointment. So when we're sitting down, I put up my stack. Here's my CMA, and we're narrowing it down through a big community, and then I keep going lower and smaller and smaller and smaller to the subject property. You all know, like, depending on where you're at, we're in Colorado Springs, Colorado, to where our average price homes usually can find your comps within the subdivision. Our $1 million properties, you're looking typically in other $1 million neighborhoods that are could potentially be on the other side of town from each other to find the proper comps. Okay. So in that conversation, I'm narrowing it down and then I have the three. And I'm also saying of how important it is that we're looking at what is our active competition. Okay. We'll set our client up on a save search, like what you guys can do with your buyers. We want our sellers to actually get the new houses as well that are emailed to them directly within that comp radius. Because the last thing that really, really sucks is when a seller texts you, oh, did you see the house went on the market on Friday and it's already under contract? And you didn't see that? And you're like hurrying, scrambling of like, what the heck? Why am I on the market for 14 days and this one went on the market in one day? So you're feeding them so that data is coming from you and you look like the professional, even if it's an auto search, okay? I promise you it'll save you so much headache and with the sellers that are needy or not needy of getting that information to them that it's coming from you and instead of them looking at Zillow or Redfin or any of those other horrible but good websites. Okay.
Right.
So at that listing presentation, we've gone over our comps. I have them pretty much pick with the three houses that I already pre-picked out that are similar to theirs. Which house is most comparable to yours? So I'm leading them in the conversation to get what I want for pricing. Okay. Also, I have I will give, here's 3 price points. And in our CMAs, we can see what's that average the day on market. And in prior conversations, I know that they have to leave. They're getting PCS orders in 20 days, or not 20 days, in 60 days, they have to be under contract and gone. Okay. So I will tie back to those conversations of what their needs analysis showed to be like, hey, you have orders to go to Alabama and you need to be sold within this many days. This is the price that you need to be at. So tying back to what their needs are is crucial. Okay. In that conversation, I always have 3 net sheets with me. So I already found out how much they owed, and I have the 3 suggested price points. Sometimes if I'm just sometimes I end up with 2. Like, be okay of throwing away one at the listing presentation if you're like, you know what? I thought this house was a little bit higher than on paper than what it actually is being back in the house. Throw that one away. Do not present it. Okay. And I'm telling you that from experience because I've presented that higher price and I'm like, oh, shoot, we shouldn't have been at that price. We should have gone at what I suggested as the middle price. So if you get that weird little tingly feeling in your tummy when you're sitting there going over, ready to present your net sheets, hide that one. Okay. um, then when we've determined price, I'm always asking them, are you ready to move forward? Because at any time, there's times that I've talked too much, that they were ready to sign the listing agreement after we walk through the property, that I didn't have to do the whole show. I will send them the list or the listing contract and have them fill it out and be all done. Okay. But I do want to go over, even if they've signed everything, what is normally done of like, here's our expectations. Okay. So we're going to have staging if it's needed. We are going to have the professional photography, all of the videography on such and such date. My strategy is I love to go on the market on Mondays or Tuesdays and plan the open house on that next weekend and having it be pushed out to all of the different websites for marketing to get people there. If the calendar doesn't line up and they're itching to go on the market on a Thursday or Friday, I say absolutely we can. And why I'm saying that in this market is because on average we have a longer day on market. Okay. So in the old market, I'd be like, no, let's just hold off till the next week to where we can do this properly and get the masses through it. But they won't be having that open house on the first weekend because that doesn't give us ample time to have everything marketed properly to hopefully drive people there. So giving them that strategy and understanding your numbers. If you have anywhere from 15 to 20 showings and you do not have an offer, you're priced too high. Okay. So understanding in your market might be different. You're going to start studying and understanding what on average is how many showings. Call your friends, call other houses in the neighborhood that have sold, all the other listing agents, and say, hey, about how many showings did you have before you went under contract? And that's some of that pre-work to your listing presentation of understanding and be able to present the numbers. There's barely any agents out there that are calling the sold and saying, hey, by the way, how many showings did you have? Because it's all about setting expectations and coming with that data. There's no other listing agent that's going to be presenting at their listing appointment. Hey, I called all of the agents in the neighborhood and asked how many showings they had. Okay. So doing just that little bit extra legwork and you being the information holder will nail you all of the listings that you want. Okay. Jackie, where are we at? Are we good on we're
Well,
good on time?
we're at it's 11:29 Mountain Time, so we've got about 15 more minutes.
15 more minutes? Okay.
Yeah, and I just wanted to, highlight that a little bit because knowing the showing rate in your market, one thing I've seen is it helps you for better conversations for a price reduction. Because if you're not getting enough showings, you're not even priced well enough to entice the buyers to come out. So I love that tip, Casey. It's been huge for my business.
Love it. Good job. So one of the questions Jackie asked, what's my superpower at the listing presentation? I feel it's my husband because he's very quiet and very quickly people know that when he speaks to listen. So he's been mine. If you don't have that, and that's okay. When I was a newer agent, I would actually ask someone to go with me. I would, and that I wanted them to be quiet when I was a mentor or having our own team. I want the new agents to come with me. I asked them, hey, don't speak unless spoken to. And because I want that agent to learn. But then also, if you're coming with someone, I feel that it gives you an even higher up of that you have more not ability, but you have more coming at you instead of just you going by yourself. So always, if you have brand new agents in your neighborhood or within your downline that are your friends, bring them with you because they're gonna learn. But then it also makes you look like a leader and an educator of helping someone else learn. So that has always been something of don't go by yourself. I have a lot, but I always find it more that it's just more powerful when presenting if that you have a team with you. Um, when Jackie was sharing or asking questions of on the coaching side of helping agents get into more listings, it's been so much of identifying your numbers. Okay. How much money do you want to make is the number one question. Okay. Breaking that down into how many appointments do you need to go on? Two, and knowing your conversion ratios. So if you're at 50% conversion ratio and you want to close two listings a month or get two new listings a month, you need to be going on four. So identifying in your game plan, where are you getting that business? Are you going to be door knocking? Because we know statistically within a half-mile radius that there's going to be two listings within the next 6 months that pop up. There is so much data. You don't like door knocking? Okay, so how are you going to do it social media? How are you going to do it calling your friends? And back up to that number one of how much money do you want to make? Why is that important to you? Is it about paying your mortgage for next month? Is it about funding your kids' college education? And how important is that goal to you? Because you won't quit once you find out, once you can really dive deep into your heart of knowing that that's your goal and that's your mission. Okay, it's huge, you guys. And there's so many different ways to lead avenue. And I'm a proponent of the social media, but that's a sit back and wait. If you need to get money today, you go out and hunt. Okay? You go and host open houses for other agents and you go door knock 3 blocks around it and invite those people to that open house. Do you have any friends, family, coworkers that are looking to move to the neighborhood? Okay. You have to go hunt. You can't just sit back and put a post on Instagram that I'm the best realtor out there. I promise you that if you need to go help families and have compensation come in and abundance will come to you.
I love that, Casey. I think that is such a huge, a lot of people love to take listings until they find out how much work it is to get a listing. And I remember I was willing to go out and look under bushes and look behind rocks to find a seller. And it is so, so true. You got to get out there and hunt, and you can find it.
People, and I think people put preconceived notions of how hard it is with sellers. And you have to like bite size that down. And some of the simple strategies that I've always done years ago, again, I was at a contract class and this gentleman did like 5 dates. And I know all of our contracts, because we're from across the country, are different. But um, within our 30-day contract, I would have pretty much 5 days that were applicable to inspections and all of that. Yet Tuesdays and Thursdays are always my deadline dates. And Tuesdays and Thursdays are always the days that I set expectation calls of for sellers. Okay. Fridays are a mess of you pre-planning the weekend, pre-planning showings, the open houses, just using Tuesdays and Thursdays, you guys, on your contracts and with your conversations of for sellers of when you're going to be giving them feedback is life changing for you guys to be able to control your schedule. Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge. That's huge. Yeah, yeah.
And I think I'm forgetting what was the attorney's name that passed away on the plane. It was him that I don't know why.
Frascona,
Yeah,
Oliver
Oliver
Frascona.
Francona would teach that those contract dates, and that's something that has just always stuck with me. And on your buyer contracts, you want to control your world in your dates and deadlines. Put all of them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I promise you.
Huge tip. That's huge. I love it. I love it. Yeah, and so we have a few more minutes if you guys have any other questions. I'm just kind of watching the chat box, or the chat, and if you guys can put some questions in there. One thing I do, I think I've taken away from this is, I always do a net sheet, but in my case, I put different on one net sheet, different price points. And I'm not gonna do that anymore because I can't throw away that one that's definitely not applicable. And that's such a huge thing. I love that. And Courtney had mentioned she does those net sheets, and she's done 3, and that's been a game changer for her. So I love that tip. Guys, we have some comments. Sellers are gold. Every listing you take, you should get at least 2 sales. I love that.
And
And
we've actually been, sorry, we've been getting that. So we really track, and we've actually been double ending more of our listings than we ever had. Like my husband's been in business 24 years. I've been in business 21 years. And during this last about 8 months, we have had more both sides of the transaction than in history. So watching those numbers and then questioning yourself of like, what am I doing wrong? Who do I need to call to be figuring out why am I not getting 2 to 3 new clients off of each listing? Okay. Really, really, I can't stress that enough. Pay attention to who's calling off of what sign, off of what ad to make sure that you're capturing that.
Yeah, and so what is your biggest what is your biggest contributor to getting more business off of a listing? What do you think your biggest contribution is to that?
I think answering the phone. Yeah.
Shocker, right? Shocker.
Shocker. Yeah. It's nothing big.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing big.
And yeah, and Dawn asked, what are the toughest objections that you've had to taking a listing, and how did you overcome that? Or what did you use to overcome?
Compensation is always a big one. So that conversation always ends up to where, oh, so and so said that they do it for X percentage. I'd be like, oh, okay. There's so many scripts around that of just simply no, I'm so sorry. This is what our professional fee is. I've used the doctor script of, hey, I hate cancer, yet like let's have this little conversation. Your house is a little piece of cancer, and you need to hire the best in the area to help you get rid of that cancer. Are you going to go with the person? Like, have you ever negotiated with your cancer doctor a lesser price because they're the best? Or are you going to pay anything that it takes to get rid of to get rid of that. Okay. So sometimes it just depends on the environment of who I'm with, of what kind of conversation or what script I can go with. Um, I've had a lot of cancer, so sometimes people have don't like that script, and I'll preface of like, I hate cancer, but this really helps explain the process of this. And then there's sometimes that I will reduce my compensation. If there's something to make it a win-win, I will. I don't like to, but sometimes I've probably received more referrals from people that I've had to do a reduction for than I have others. So if they're not nice, they get full price.
Yeah, I love it.
I see Dawn is smiling at that one.
I know it's so true because you're worth it, and we all are worth it. And one of the scripts I think I've seen many top producing agents use is of all the services that I provide, if I reduce the commission, what service do you not want me to provide you? Just take that away a little bit. So I love that. And Don asked, how about agreeing to negotiate the commission when you have an offer?
As an alternative to reducing it now, because I think the way you could say that is you could say, actually, I'm open to a lower fee. That being said, if I produce a full price offer for you, I think you'd agree that I would be deserving of my fee. But how about if we evaluate that at the time of the offer? Have you done that as an alternative?
I've done that, and then I've also done it to where I'll do something if it's a sell by,
Yeah.
I'll do something on the buy side.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think the key there is that if you do it at the point of listing, you're naturally going to be inclined to not give them your very best because you're not getting the very best from them, right?
Very true.
So I think you want to present to them, gosh, I wouldn't want to do anything to compromise the marketing so that you would get a lesser value for your home. But if, in spite of my best efforts, if I'm not able to produce a great offer for you, then we'll have that discussion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. Well, you guys, we're about to end.
Courtney,
go ahead.
She has
her
hand up.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
I was just going to let everyone know one thing that I've said a lot is, well, if I were to negotiate my commission with you right now, what does that say about my negotiation skills when we get an offer? And that seems to work. And I've beat out a lot of agents with
or when I'm negotiating the largest asset that you own.
Right.
I love that one too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was a weirdo when I first got into business, and not a weirdo, but they had script books that you could buy. So I would sit there and read script books because I'm naturally introverted. So when there was like script and role play conversations at the office in the big training room, I wouldn't go to that, but I'd always grab the pieces of paper of the scripts that they were going over, and I would just sit there and read them. So what are you doing to up your conversation skills? And it was crazy because I'd be like I'd be at a listing appointment. I'm like, where'd that come from? That was like, so what fires you up, and what knowledge are you putting into your head of not only to be just a powerful negotiator, but confident at the listing appointment, and it shows up, I feel, not only within your business, but within your personal life, your family, with your kiddos. Sometimes it bites you in the behind with your kiddos.
Yeah.
Casey, would you say that, especially now that homes are getting harder to sell, you really seem to make a point of noticing things about their home and making positive comments? I just found, because most of my sales career, I had actually a pretty tough, and we had 18 to 24 months of inventory, very different environment than we have today. Although it is getting harder now as well. But I just found that it wasn't always so much what I said, but what that the seller perceived that I was confident that I could get the job done for them.
100%.
So, yeah.
That's what nails everything. Like we can have all of this fancy, a heavy stack of paper, and it is about that relationship of pointing out that weird statue that they have. At one when we had 5 in our $1 million market, we had 5 years of inventory for colors years ago. Okay. And we're not there yet, but our inventory markets are creeping up. And if you're pricing correctly, they're going under contract. If there's not something special about your house, it's sitting on the market. So the big thing is finding and acknowledging to the seller of what that special item is, and just blowing it up marketing wise of here's what makes this house special for your buyers. But
All
that's
right.
huge.
That is so huge. So thank you so much, Casey. I think we're going to wrap this up here. And I just want to thank you. I think we've all probably gotten some pro tips. And you guys, that's just what we are here with Now Nation, is we all can get better together. And so, Casey, I want to really thank you for all of the time and energy you put into this. We're going to, next week, you guys, we have an exciting speaker. Our topic is AI, and guess who's coming? Bill Stringer is coming, and Tom is going to be leading that conversation. You guys don't want to miss that as well. You talk about upping your game in AI and technology. That is going to be huge. And so you don't want to miss that. If you missed any of this, you can also find the recording on our our Hub page for our team Huddle. And you guys, we have 96 people who've subscribed to that. We need you to subscribe to our group, Now Nation, and it's in the Hub. And you can find that when you connect and just search for groups and look for Now Nation. You can find it, subscribe to it. We want to see you there, because that's when we're going to have all the updates and all the recordings of these incredible calls. So don't miss it. Head over to the Hub and be sure you get subscribed. And otherwise, we will see you next week. Hey, Tom, are you on? Can you give us our...
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Jackie, Casey. Now you all got your inspiration. Time to put in the perspiration for total domination with Now Nation.
All right.
Let's go.
You're
All
perfect,
right.
Tom.
You
Tom,
guys,
you've
thanks so
practically
much.
got a whole song there now.
That's right. All right, you guys have an awesome week. Go take a listing this week. You got this. Let us know how we can help. Thanks, everybody.